Simon & Schuster Audio presents an Inner Traditions audiobook, Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians, by Barbara Marciniak, read by Matthew Duplessie. Foreword. When Barbara Marciniak and I met in 1988, we had both just begun an exciting new phase of our lives. I had moved to Michigan to birth a new magazine, Connecting Link, with publishers Barry and Susie Konnikov, and Barbara was birthing the Pleiadian channelings. After years of working many and varied jobs while traveling, searching, and studying consciousness-expanding material, we had created for ourselves work that encompassed who we were and what we believed, and we were excited about it. During the next 2 years, Barbara and I traveled to many expos, played a lot with the Pleiadian teachings, and generally had a great time with all of it. We talked about doing a book of the Pleiadian teachings, but never really pushed it. The book would come when it was time. The year 1990, the beginning of the unnamed decade, came. Connecting Link was getting well established, and Barbara had made some 300 tapes with the Pleiadians. I felt it was time for me to move back to New York, where I could continue to do the magazine on my computer as well as do more networking. I also felt it was time to do the book. When I thought of the book, I imagined that the Pleiadians would dictate it to me, and that I would simply transcribe the tapes, edit the material, and there it would be. It would take no particular effort and very little time out of my pressing magazine schedule. So in May, when Barbara and I sat down to do a book channeling, I was quite surprised to hear the Pleiadians' idea of how to do the book. The Pleiadians assured me that they would not dictate the book to me, and that I would have to pull it together through my own process. I was intrigued. They said to me, "If this book was just given to you, you would be an employee. What effort would it be of yours? It is going to be a birthing of something for you, a birthing of process in yourself that is a whole new way of utilizing creativity." Phew! Okay, so how do I do this miraculous process? I asked. Where do I begin? They answered, "You are going to piece this together using your intuition only. This is not at all to be a logical mind project. By using your intuition, you will be guided and tested to see if you can perform and complete a project without your logical mind knowing the steps that are coming next. It will be a tremendous exercise for you. It will lift you into a much higher place of consciousness, a higher place of order, and a higher place of trust. When it is completed and is very successful, you will say, 'I don't know how I did it. I have no idea.' The story will show that if you can clear people of their personal information, they can go cosmic. The process that you will be going through during the next few moons will be very intense for you. You will go through the process of an initiation yourself as you write it. You have some mastering to achieve in a few areas during the next 6 moons, and all of this is tied together." They said that I was to listen to the tapes and transcribe only the pieces that I felt would go into the book. Barbara's sister, Karen, would intuit what tapes had good information on them and send them to me. Also, my friend Marcia would get impulses on which tapes needed to be included. Then it would be up to me to pick out the parts to use. I was instructed to use no order and not to even think how they would fit together. I could use a 1 to 5 word code and a bit of color on each page to categorize the information, and that was it. I began to grasp the idea. My logical mind had one more question. I asked the Pleiadians, Should we attempt to find a publisher before the book is completed, or at least announce that we are doing the book? The Pleiadians replied, "Ideally, yes. You will send out the announcement that you are beginning the book. The first time that you sit down to work on it, clear your desktop and have no clutter or disorganization around you. Have a clean space with your crystal stones that will assist you. Then you can make a prayer of intention by saying, 'I am now announcing that I am beginning a book, and I am sending this announcement out to anyone who is a publisher and to anyone who is involved in bringing this data into publication for those whom it will serve best. It is my intention that the person to publish this book discover me and be brought to me, and I promise that I will be available for that recognition. I understand that I have very little to do with this. That part is not mine. I understand that I am to broadcast the announcement like I am sending out the birth announcement, and that a response will be sent to me. In this I trust. That is it. It will be brought to you.' Remember that the process you will be going through is very much a part of the story, because you will discover something of yourself. Then the story will be told in the terms that you put together. You will understand the importance of the book because you will have had an experience as you create for others a pathway into reality based upon juggling your reality and allowing different sentences and contexts to be juggled through you and made into a new order. Someone who did not trust would find this very difficult. Trusting is the absolute key. There is nothing else that you can turn to in this process. This is about commitment, and you are going to learn that you can commit to who you are, that you will not screw up, that you will always be provided for, and that never will you be left without. It will always all work out according to your intentions. Your part in this is to intend what you want and to simply let the data flow. The book will make its own order as you learn about yourself during the process and as you code certain information. It will be mind-blowing what you experience. As I now read the words they said to me then, I get a whole different picture than I did at the time. I realize now that they mentioned several times that doing this book was going to be an initiation for me, that I would be tested, and that people would need to clear their personal information in order to go cosmic. Now I know what those words mean. At the time, I had no idea. My personal issues started coming up big time. I didn't trust myself. I didn't love myself. And, in fact, I didn't really know who I was. I couldn't separate the real me from the facade. I began a series of deep tissue bodywork sessions that brought up more stuff, memories from childhood that I'd blocked out, trauma and pain stored in my body. I was a mess. I was in no shape to work on the book, for I was barely managing to get the magazine out every 2 months as it was. In October, I went to Egypt with the Pleiadians. I knew this trip was going to be an important turning point in my life, and I thought it would kick me into high gear so I could get to work and pump out the book. It was a wonderful trip, a powerful trip, and it flattened me like a board. It blew open my circuits and awakened areas in myself that I had no idea were there, many of them dark and ugly. When I got back to New York, I was definitely not capable of beginning the book, and, in fact, I wasn't sure I would ever be able to do it. The only thing I knew for sure at that time was that I had to move out of New York. I couldn't get centered or clear there, and I felt bombarded with energy. I felt naked and exposed walking on the streets, and I couldn't use the subway anymore. It was time to get out. That December, I moved to North Carolina. When something is right, it works out beautifully. Libby, one of the friends I met in Egypt, lived in a rural area south of Raleigh, and I knew I wanted to live there. I made an intention that I would have a house to move into before I came down there. I pictured what it would be like and what the land would look like, and Libby said she would keep her eyes and ears open. About a week before my move, my current landlord walked into Libby's shop and started complaining because her tenant was moving out with no notice. Libby said, "That's because it's Tara's house." I drove down from New York the following week with all my belongings and moved in. The house was just what I wanted, roomy with lots of light and on 175 acres of land. It was perfect. The minute I got there, I began healing. I lay on the ground or sat with my back to a tree and just let nature heal me. Healing myself was all I focused on. In January, when I went to Michigan to typeset the 13th issue of Connecting Link, I realized that my time with the magazine was finished. I had grown a lot doing it, and now it was time for me to move on to something else. What something else I didn't know, but when I get these knowings, I have to go with them. When I came back home, I spent a few days asking myself if I'd been a total fool to give up a job when I now lived out in the middle of the country and didn't know where I would get another one. Then I realized it was perfect that I had no job. It was time to do the book. I began listening to the tapes and transcribing bits and pieces of them. The work went smoothly and easily, and things seemed to be flowing. I didn't question the order or attempt to make one. I just let everything flow through me. During this time, the Pleiadians did a series of daytime classes for a few people in order to catapult us out of our issues. The classes were called Firing Codes of Consciousness, and that's exactly what they did. I got to deeper levels of the issues I thought I'd finished with in New York. Those of us in the classes cleared much emotional baggage and developed a very tight bond with each other. This series ended with a rebirthing that was one of the most powerful experiences in my life. I had another book reading with the Pleiadians in which they talked about the bringers of the dawn making the cosmic evolutionary leap in awareness possible by anchoring the frequency first inside of their own bodies. Suddenly, an awareness hit me. I hadn't been able to do the book in 1990 when we had first talked about it because I hadn't been able to hold the frequency yet. I hadn't been cleared out enough to do it. I asked the Pleiadians about this. "You do not trust yourself, Miss Tara. You told everyone you did, but you did not really even like yourself. You compared yourself, and you were not honest with what was really going on with you. And people very close to you were mirroring this for you. You had to go deeper, as everyone must go deeper into the layers, for everyone has layers of self-hatred and dislike. You had to explore certain behaviors you had that did not work and discover the reasons for them, and that discovery brought you to be a keeper of frequency. This is why the book was given to you the way it was, because you had to have a major breakthrough in consciousness. By hashing over and translating much material that you would not even use, you went through a process of a direct relationship with us. You heard over and over again, in a neutral way, all of the things that you needed to directly apply to yourself if you did not wish to be left behind, and you did it. Then they told me that I had transcribed enough material and that the book was ready to be put together. I had no concept of how this could be done. Was I to read all of the pages at once and see where they fit together? I had some pages with only a few sentences on them and other lengthy excerpts of several pages. How was I to put it into some sort of order? The Pleiadians said that every night when I was going to sleep, I was going to give them 1 minute and visualize the cover of Bringers of the Dawn. I was to play with this and change the artwork every night if I wished. I was just to look at the cover, open the book, and begin reading the pages, and then go to sleep. The information would be shown to me in the dream state. They said I would begin to pull the book into existence by reading a book that already existed in the future. They said it would be no work for me, that they would do all the work. Well, why not? The first week didn't go so well. I was doing the visualization before I went to sleep, but when I woke up, I would panic looking at all the pages, and my logical mind would frantically attempt to read them all to make some sort of order. It was completely frustrating. Finally, one afternoon, as I was sitting in the middle of the floor in my office, surrounded by papers and feeling about to cry, I said, "Hey, Pleiadians, you said you were going to do this work. I give up. Here, you do it." I started picking up the papers one by one, like I was going to just stack them together and put them away. But I was picking up one from the left side, and then one from the right side, and then maybe one in back of me, and then one around to the left again. There was no rhyme or reason to this, no order to it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just picking them up. After gathering about 30 pages, I suddenly stopped and looked at the stack in my hand. I got chills all over, and I said to myself, "Oh my God, I think this is the first chapter." I took the pages to my desk, sat down, and began reading. They fit together like a puzzle. I was shocked. I knew I believed this stuff, but still, when it really begins happening, it's quite amazing. The rest of the book began falling together effortlessly, to use a favorite Pleiadian word. I had another book reading and told the Pleiadians how pleased I was with the new process and how much fun it was. They said, "It is the beginning of receiving direct guidance in how to do things. The more you say, 'I relinquish control, I don't know how to do this,' the more the energy will come in. As you get out of your own way, it will become easier and easier. All you need to do is intend. The more intending you do, the easier it will become." Later on, when the book is put together and many ask you how you did it, we want you to say that this is the process you used. We want you to verify our teachings as you were able to receive them by demonstrating that you believe what we are telling you. Remember how long it has taken you to grasp the process fully. We are not lecturing you, we are guiding you through this, pulling you back, reflecting back to you over and over again so that you can understand where the power of operation is. It is through clear intention, through acting as if, and then simply receiving continuously. The rest of the book just fell into place, and, true to their word, the Pleiadians found us a publisher without Barbara or me doing anything. Of course, they hooked us up with Barbara Handclough. Who better to understand how to get the material out to the public? And her excellent guidance brought me through a rewrite and a polish of the book that turned it from just another channeled book into something really wonderful. The Pleiadians were right. When I look at this book, I don't know how it happened. I didn't design it, plan it, conceive of it, or make an order of it. All I did was trust and allow them to work through me. It was a wonderful experience, and one that has changed my life. I have learned how to work with non-physicals, and I will never again set out to work on any project alone. I'm writing an original screenplay right now, and I called in a group of experts to work with me on the writing and a group of experts to work on selling it. It's phenomenal how it's working out. It's truly effortless. The Pleiadians thanked me for my work with them and my trust, and they said they wanted to compensate me and gift me with many paychecks from Spirit. Paychecks from Spirit are not like normal paychecks that give one dollars and cents. They have gifted me with so many things. My most important gift from doing this book is myself. I now trust myself, love myself, and depend on myself, and I've opened my heart. Because of that new love of myself, I have drawn wonderful friends into my life who have become a family to me. I have healed relationships with my blood family, and I have drawn in a major surprise. 24 years ago, I gave a daughter up for adoption, and she has found me. She lives only 2 hours away from me, and we are establishing a warm and close relationship. I'm thankful she is back in my life. Another important gift has been confidence. I said I was a writer for years. I've even written for years. But not too long ago, I woke up one morning and was going over the pages of my screenplay that I'd written the night before. And I suddenly got this knowing. I am a writer. Not I'm going to be a writer. I am a writer. Learning how to communicate with non-physicals has been another priceless gift and has opened up many new areas to me. I'm beginning to communicate with animals, both domestic and wild. It's been a wonderful experience, and I realize that avenues of communication have been opened that I'm not even aware of yet. They are limitless. There have been many, many other gifts. The Pleiadians told me that the process of this book would be the most powerful teaching of my life, and I agree. I'm thankful that I chose myself to do it, and I'm thankful for all the love and support I had from my family of friends during the process. And I'm very thankful to the Pleiadians for their love, their friendship, their encouragement, their support, and, most of all, for tricking me into my own evolution. Tara Thomas, Pittsboro, North Carolina, March 1992. Tara Thomas was formerly editor of Connecting Link magazine and is currently a freelance writer. Preface. Trapped in Bali. That's exactly how I felt, as I wondered why the bureaucratic necessity of an Australian visa had never been mentioned until now. With ticket and passport in hand and luggage on the scale, I was told I needed the document to board the flight bound for Darwin. My mind raced for the logic of the event and an immediate method to overrule it. I would will this one around. I was not new to this game and had been tested many times during the last 4 years on my ability to transform and transmute obstacles into messages and to move with the living symbols into a new vista of experience. Telexes were sent to the consulate in Sydney, and for the first hour's wait, I was certain I would be cleared, verified, and on my way to begin a Pleiadian teaching tour in the land down under. I had left North Carolina a week earlier, stopped in Hawaii for a brief visit, and now, after a 3-day sojourn in Bali, was rested and ready to begin the next segment of a 2-month odyssey. I glanced at the terminal clock and noted the slow passage of minutes. I was patiently waiting for intentions and events to be set into motion. As time crept forward, its movement began a dawning within me that maybe, just maybe, I was not going to get on board. Perhaps this was going to be one of those times where, intend as I might, I was not going anywhere. I could feel my body resisting this new plan and the rearrangements that potentially would have to be made because I could not board the plane and meet my tour schedule. It felt ominous. Damn. The 11 p.m. hour of departure had arrived, and with ticket, passport, and tour schedule, I was told to see the local Australian consulate on Tuesday, this being Saturday evening and Sunday and Monday being holidays. The next flight for Darwin was scheduled for the day after I was to be there. I surrendered, located a taxi, and luggage aboard, headed for the retreat and solitude of the quaint seaside Balinese hotel I had left hours earlier. My room was waiting. I did not have an immediate solution to this potentially aggravating dilemma, and knowing that, I dropped it. I moved into the personal creation of comfort and trust that somehow this would all turn out fine, and that if I was to be trapped anywhere, Bali was certainly ideal. The next day, as I sat by the window of my treetop room, a second dawning brought the realization that I had committed to writing a preface for Bringers of the Dawn, and that I was not going to move ahead into Australia until I was complete with that task, and the lush vegetation that framed my view. I began to contemplate where to begin and how to insert into time and space myself and this phenomenal process called the Pleiadians that through me had created a life of its own. As if haunted by a recurring dream, I have had the question put to me over and over again: how did it all begin? Early on, I would respond by just delineating the impulses and sequence of events that had led to my actual channeling of the Pleiadians and stop there. Through the seemingly endless repetition of this question, however, an energy churned restlessly in my reality, and as I kept repeating the story, I began to get glimpses of a grander view, where events and beginnings came from many directions and multiple times, to be woven now into a tapestry of purpose. In childhood, I felt I was different and marked to stand out by inheriting an older brother who was mentally retarded. His presence offered many challenges to my young mind, and our family had many lessons to learn. It was only recently that I was impulsed by the P's, as I have affectionately come to call them, to re-examine old photos from childhood and to reconsider my interpretation of who I thought I was. Embracing this approach, this time I saw celestial-like love beaming from the face of my dear older brother Donald, and in one photo after another the light seemed always to bend and illuminate him. I had not considered that I was, perhaps, blessed by his very presence. Our family shared and explored its boundaries under the influence of my Polish maternal grandmother, Babcia, who embodied a dignity and a pride that transcended her earthly experience. A pioneer and product of the vast European immigrations of the early 1900s, she was drawn to the land where, she was told, the streets were paved with gold. It was under her stabilizing influence that my two brothers, my first younger sister, and I played as children, exploring the magical land that was her domain. It was through her that I felt truly loved and learned to have great reverence for the land and for the love of earth. She told us that her maiden name meant star in Polish. Those teachings of loving the earth would later be echoed through the voice of my own star connection, the Pleiadians. In my teens, my so-called difference led me to an exploration of metaphysical ideas, and for the first time, I became excited with the discovery that there were many interpretations of reality from which to choose. By the late 1970s, I was exploring the Seth material, among other things, and thereafter spent a number of years recording my dream adventures while I absorbed page upon page of Seth lore. In August of 1987, the summer of harmonic convergence, and again 7 months later, in March of 1988, I experienced brief reality collapses, where segmented and stored events from a seemingly insignificant past came screaming forward, anxiously demanding a place of recognition. On these separate occasions, my body was catapulted into a state of shock, as data on UFO abductions was casually being viewed and shared by those around me. The first time this occurred, I somehow glossed over it. But the second time, my body was activated beyond anything I had ever experienced, or almost. Memories overwhelmed me. The presentation of the UFO data was tapping into my dream file, exposing a truth that was very difficult to assimilate. Years before, in the early 80s, while living in Taos, New Mexico, I had had a late-night encounter in my bedroom with 3 bright blue beings. At the time, the experience sent me into deep panic, not at all a common feeling for me. To resolve this conflict, for I had no frame of reference around which I could fathom my own relationship and safety to this unknown, I stored the event experience in my Seth-inspired dream journals and left it there, an unexplained slice of reality that certainly wasn't a dream, though for years it would find a secure place in my psyche with that title. Now, the old question resurfaced. Under which category of life's files did my personal encounter reside? Was it really real? A replay of my encounter flashed into my now as every cell in my body suddenly knew extraterrestrials were real. My body would never forget the meeting of the 3 blue beings and how they hovered over me, calming me from some apparent yet camouflaged trauma. My intellect was on call to expand its worldview and comprehend. I was challenged to live with and integrate this experience, which would open me for what was to come. The Pleiadians and I officially intersected realities a few months later in Athens, Greece, on May 18, 1988. I had been touring with a lively metaphysical group for almost 3 weeks through the temple sites of Egypt and Greece. Starting with the Great Pyramid, we moved through the ancient vortexes, innocent and naive as children, enthralled by the mystery stored within the silent stones. The trip concluded with visits to the Acropolis and Delphi, and as we were saying our goodbyes in the hotel bar, something impulsed me with a notion to begin to channel by going to my room, sitting quietly, and imagining myself back in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid. I recall feeling inspired by this idea. I felt it was timely and in the spirit of the trip. I proceeded to my room, and once I felt safe and secure, I sat with my spine erect and led myself with my mind back into the king's chamber and the sound of many oming voices. To myself I said, I intend to become a clear channel now. Within a few short minutes, I felt the urge to speak, and as this urge began to express itself in a whispered voice dissimilar to my own, another portion of my mind, the rational, in-charge version, began to question, through thought, the very voice that was speaking. This initial venture took great mental and psychic dexterity on my part, being that I was speaking for a heretofore unknown, directing questions in my mind to this unknown, and then listening to the answers so I could further direct the communication. After what seemed to be a half hour, the unknown announced its presence as the Pleiadians and left it at that. The total communication was no longer than 1 hour. The energies had been distinct and abundant, and somehow I had been thrust into a rather blissful union of contact, the spoken words soothing me with answers that today I can only recollect as feelings of wisdom and peace. Upon opening my eyes, I was filled with a deep sense of wonder. Could this be? Had I stepped into something by following the deep-seated urgings that originally impulsed me to join this trip at the last minute? Or had I dived too deep into the world of wishful illusion and dreamed it all up? What was the difference? And Pleiadians? I felt burdened by this from the start. Who in their right mind was going to believe I was in contact with and speaking for ETs? This was almost too much for my already long-established, quietly radical self to presume. What inner turmoil my following all these impulses led to. I've since learned to trust and honor the energies that move me, and I can now read the tale of those initial impulses in my astrological birth chart and within the Pleiadian chart as well. During the first month of our relationship, the P's suggested that I begin to study astrology. Little did I know of the complexity and deep commitment to higher knowledge that this ancient science required in order to properly access a universal language and code of purpose. The Pleiadians, in their natal chart for that day of infusion, have a sun in Taurus at 27 degrees 57 minutes. The star cluster of the Pleiades is located at 28 degrees Taurus. Quite a trick indeed. Back in the early stages of getting to know one another, I was not up on their tricks and the subtle methods they employed for notching my reality. I was too busy adjusting to the idea that I had contact with ETs. Our meeting and merging took practice to bring about greater ease, trust, and understanding. From the beginning, my sister Karen, who assisted me in the sessions, would eagerly await the appointed time when I would sit down to channel. She exhibited no doubts, but for myself, I kept wondering if this was really real. In my desire to cooperate with what I had created, I conditionally offered the use of my body and my voice at appointed times, and I further stated that if the Pleiadians were really real, it would be no big thing for them to arrange things they wanted and do most of the work, my smug rationale being that I certainly wasn't going to waste my time with anything that was not a viable presence. This behavior may appear to be the height of absurdity to some, though those with experience in these realms understand that it is quite necessary to set boundaries. It took me a good 2 years to make a deep bond with them, and it came about during a body therapy session where a wave of Pleiadian love, like no other, engulfed me and imprinted in my emotional body the inestimable value they held for me. I surrendered. Eventually, I understood that the Pleiadians had demonstrated their subtle presence in my world from day one. They became the teachers and friends I had longed for. They seemed to have a direct line on the synchronicity impulse game that brings people and events into being. Never having been a great investor in worry, it became quite easy for me to move into their Pleiadian moment of letting go, as they created a life of their own through me. People and opportunities came from every direction. My job was to manage and be a physical steward for their energies. All that they taught, I was to embody, to encounter and live. Today we live in fine accord, and, truly, I feel more ET than human. They have made their teachings alive through me, and my life has become a Pleiadian mystery play, which has led me into the heartbeat of my multidimensional soul. Not that I claim to fully comprehend these encounters, and sometimes I wonder how so many people have gotten involved in my version of the illusion. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to live a life freely expressed in these rapidly changing times, and for that creative expression to have birthed meaning in the lives of so many is, for me, a precious gift, the grace returned. P.S. I did get to Darwin on time. Chapter 1. Ambassadors Through Time. We are here. We are the Pleiadians, a collective of energy from the Pleiades. We have a long history. Our ancestors came from another universe that had achieved completion. A universe. You are simply working on a planet coming to completion, and we are here to help you with that task. This completion, or transformation, has been heralded by many for eons. It is an important time. What happens on Earth now will affect the entire universe. Completion consists of you understanding who you are so that you can go further with the experiment. Our ancestors came from a universe that had completed itself and then understood universally that it was Prime Creator, the first cause, or the journey of Prime Creator in time. They came from a universe that had discovered its essence, creativity. By discovering that essence, we found out that we are creators. Our ancestors had a choice of returning to prime creator, which is simply movement, and being within that vibration, or of going on, as is always the case when completion of form has been attained. They chose to come into this universe as ambassadors because they realized that someday you would be ready for completion. They came into the Pleiades because that star system would someday be able to help you at the most difficult time, the crisis when you would be ready to reconnect with Prime Creator. Our ancestors were some of the original planners of Earth, orchestrators who seeded worlds and civilizations with creativity and love. Because of their qualifications, they like to orchestrate worlds just as conductors love to conduct. Our ancestors are also your ancestors, and we like to call you our ancient family, as indeed you are. Our ancestors gave their DNA to the original planners, and this DNA became part of the DNA of the human species. We Pleiadians come from your future. In a version of our now, there exists a place of tyranny and turmoil, and we have seen probable futures of Earth that include that same tyranny and decay. Time is greatly misunderstood in third-dimensional reality. You believe that time is measured in minutes or degrees. Time is much vaster than you realize. In actuality, time codes and plays with information, allowing you to move into reality simultaneously by stretching, distorting, curving, and twisting time around. You can get on an elliptical curve of time and experience many realities by simply going around the elliptical curve and discovering that, as time is not solid, neither is reality. As all realities are not solid, and as the future is not set, it is only a number of probabilities, we see an opportunity at this time to insert a more positive probability for Earth. We wish to reinsert light on this planet and restore Earth to its original purpose, that of becoming a magnificent intergalactic exchange center of information. So we have come back in a section of time to a place we call a kernel or a seed in order to effect change. This change will not only affect Earth, it will affect your future, our present, and the entire universe. This is big news. You have come to Earth at a place in time when evolution is at hand. A major leap is about to take place that you came to participate in, and you are not alone, for many energies are coming to Earth now to participate in this great project. There are mother ships surrounding this planet that are acting as literal transducers of energy. There are beams of light coming to Earth from old and ancient star systems that have been working with you for eons. These beams of information are being blasted onto the planet. As this information is being beamed to you, your body must be able to receive it, transduce it, house it, and beam it back out to others. Many of you will build telepathic links with these mother ships that will be like having your own radio stations through which you will be able to tune into a wealth of information at will. This is the evolution of superconsciousness, the evolution into the highest aspect of your being. You do not need to worry about becoming this being, for you already are this being, and you just need to remember it. Since the veils around Earth were lifted at the time of harmonic convergence, you have been steadily beamed with this energy from the outer cosmos, and it is constantly being stepped up and increased as you are able to handle it. You are evolving now at such an extremely accelerated rate that each year of this decade will be like 10 years or more from the previous century. Feel how much you will accomplish by 1999, and feel who you will be. It will be as if you have lived 100 years in a decade. You will be flooded with memory, flooded with many other things. Many of you will take trips upon the ships to various portions of the solar system. As you come into the age of light, worlds will open that you never knew existed. You have moved past the other ages, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Industrial Age, the Information Age, and so on. These other ages had to do with seeding, planting, cultivating, and putting the potentialities of life into the third dimension. A transition is about to occur, a dimensional shift that will lessen the density of the third dimension so that you will move into higher dimensions in which the body does not have such a solid state. You have come here because you wish to master the evolutionary process and be able to live with it. This is going to be very exciting because it means that you are going to function in many realities. Buried deep inside of you are all the answers. The questions that come to the forefronts of your minds are arising so that you can bring the answers from within your own beings. In order to achieve this, you must first believe that the information is stored there. Humanity is learning a great lesson at this time. The lesson is to realize that everything is connected and that you are part of it all. There are multitudes of cultures and societies that exist throughout the vastness of space, and these societies and cultures have been on and off this planet from the very beginning. It is not that just we, the Pleiadians, have come to assist. We are only one grouping from one star system. There are many who have journeyed here for many reasons. The majority of the extraterrestrials are here for your upliftment, though there are also those who are here for other reasons. Your history moves in and out of very special times. Many of you became involved on Earth eons ago through star energy and through working with the higher realms. You know quite completely the difficulties that Earth has gone through, such as how many times the lands have shifted and how many times help has come from the skies. Information was distorted when those who came from the skies to move you along in your development were turned into gods. As children idolize those who can do what they cannot do, your society clearly demonstrates this same method of creating godhood. The concept behind this method is one of the belief paradigms that you have come here to change. The third dimensional world is one of great challenge, for it allows magnificent limitations to set themselves up. Through these limitations, structures are formed, and through this process, you create and learn that you are a portion of Prime Creator and that Prime Creator desires experience. You are magnificent beings, members of the family of light, and you came to Earth at this time on assignment to create a shift, to make a change, to assist in the transition. Love is the key. Love is what makes up the universe. The present technology on Earth will only develop to a certain extent because mankind does not yet understand that love is necessary. Energy can take all forms of creativity, but when one is dealing with greed or hatred or any emotion that is not working toward light, one is only allowed to go so far. There is only so much information that is available to that sort of vibration. Love is the basic building block, so when one has love, all possibilities exist. Bringing back the concepts of light, which are information and love, which is creativity, is the plan. It takes renegades like the family of light to come into a system that has been primarily dark for eons and change it. We are very much renegades where we are. As we said, our own system is in need of transformation. We are working as a bridge or a link through the family of light in a variety of systems in order to change our own system. Your raising of consciousness through love and responsibility nourishes us, replenishes us, and expands our consciousness so that we may evolve further. Therefore, as we are friends and guides and assistants to you, so you assist us as well. Where will this transition take you? We would like to see you become qualified to form worlds consciously. You are preparing to seed and be the species planted on many new worlds as they are being formulated, and because you have stored within your memories the history of what has occurred here on Earth, you will be able to teach others and consciously hold the direction in which other worlds need to go. It is a vast plan you are participating in. All of you jumped at the chance to be here in such a challenging place at such a challenging time. You were certain you could do it. Also, you were told before you came here that there would be much assistance and that, at different junctures of your development, different entities would present themselves upon the planet in different capacities to trigger you, fire you up, and remind you not to do it for you. We are one of those triggers, a catalyst. When you hear the name Pleiadians, you feel a connection because we are assisting you in bringing your own information, your own knowing forward. By working with you, it is our intention to offer you a reminder of who you are so that you can find the greatest source for your own inspiration. If we could assign a career to each of you or give you a way of being, we would ask each of you to become an inspiration. When you are able to live in this capacity and to be truly an inspiration to all who encounter you, you will be living your light, and that is quite profound. Remember that we are here for our reasons and that you are here for your reasons, and that we are all here to evolve together and create a new vibrational frequency. We wish to break belief paradigms that separate individuals as they evolve. We wish to create an ambassadorship, a game of harmony and cooperation, by giving you information that strikes you at the core of your beings, no matter what your former beliefs have been. We, the group that speaks to you, are intending to fill our own resume with some interesting experiences. When we first began speaking in 1988, our collective consisted of 50 to 75 entities, some physical, some non-physical, all Pleiadian. Our numbers have been growing, and our collective now consists of well over 100 entities from many different systems. We can now be called Pleiadians Plus. There are those in our reality who do not believe that we can accomplish what we have set out to do with you. They feel that we are taking too many chances and too many risks, yet they are sitting on the edges of their seats to see what will happen. There are those in your system who believe we are here to spread fear, but we do not see it that way. We do not wish to scare any of you. We simply wish to inform you. If you sit in a dark room and you hear strange sounds, it can be fearful. However, if you turn on the light to see what is making the sounds, it is then not so scary. We wish you to be informed about what you are dealing with. Light is information, ignorance is darkness. We want you to be working in the light, not in the dark. We are involved in working with you because we wish to evolve our consciousness toward more free will and expression. Just as you are on assignment to change the system that you are within, we are on assignment to change the system that we are within. We are not without our purpose. As we said, we come from your future, and, in certain instances, we have our hands full. We need you just as you need us. You, as members of the family of light, can institute, implement, or insert a grand new probability in the chain of realities that will implode in the next 20 years from this sector of existence because you physically live on this planet. It is through you that the transformation will occur. What you do now vastly affects us. What happens with Earth vastly affects us. We are here to assist, to teach, and to evolve as we go through this process together. We give our version of things only to bring you into higher consciousness. We do not wish to say that this version and only this version is how it is. This whole teaching is designed with a great purpose in mind, and the stories that we tell you are set up to take you to a higher plane of consciousness. That is our intention. The words that we choose and the concepts of which we speak are triggers for codes that are stored deep inside of your bodies. Your bodies are waiting for the questions to be posed so that you can begin to resonate with the answers inside of yourselves, so that the cellular memories within your bodies can begin to remember what they already know. As we speak to you, you will remember. In speaking to you, we wish to expand your definition of reality. However, never take anything we say literally. Always follow the larger spiral that we are intending to create that allows you to see the bigger picture. Never stop where we define an idea, since we are simply here to open up your paradigms and rattle your cages so that you can begin to find the activation of the real knowledge, the true knowledge that is stored inside of you. That is where the data is, and we have come to awaken it in you. We wish to throw out ideas for your consideration. We wish to encourage you not to get stuck on any one idea and also to embrace what you are hesitant about or are fearful of. Realize that when you face the so-called dark portions or shadow portions of yourself, you are creating an opportunity of liberation for all concerned. This comes back to the first and final tenet. Thought creates. No matter what situation you find yourself in, it is the power of your thoughts that got you there. It is also the impeccable belief that thought creates that will transform your experience and the planetary existence. We recommend that you do a little questioning of anyone who overdefines and tells you absolutes. It is important to hear many different opinions and many different stories. Listen to a person's story, then see if it feels right. Is it for your own benefit and upliftment? One of the things that we like to teach you is that it is up to you to decide what to do. We give you information, however, it is up to you to decide what to do with it. You are in charge of your life. We are not. We like to pride ourselves on being storytellers. There is a certain credibility and a certain sensationalism in the way we present data. However, a story that we tell you at one point is certainly not the only story. It is not the end, and it is never the only truth. It is only one fragmentation, one small portion of the bigger picture. No matter what story we tell you today, we guarantee you that a year from now we will tell you a different story, because a year from now you will be able to comprehend things in a grander fashion. So the story will constantly evolve. Your task is to find your identity inside of the story, to find what you know, not what you want to believe or what you have been told. Trusting what you know is imperative, for knowing is your connection to Prime Creator. Each and every one of you is going to have to know that your life is about something as you begin to remember your role. You yourself chose to be here. You are on assignment to bring memory forward and to bring the value of human existence back to the forefront of creation. You are needed. You have been in training for this assignment for lifetimes, and you did not come unprepared. All that you need to know now is inside of you, and it is your task to remember your training. This is not a lifetime when you are going to be taught new information. As we said before, this is the lifetime when you are going to remember what you already know, and we are just here to remind you of it. That is part of our assignment. Chapter 2. On Prime Creator's Journey. Humanity has been designed, as has just about everything else that exists within creation. Prime Creator began experimenting with creation a long time ago in this universe for the purpose of greater self-exploration, self-gratification, and self-expression. Prime Creator brought energies and essences of life, extensions of itself, into this universe and endowed those extensions with the gifts that it had. It gave willingly and freely of its capabilities. There are many other universes and many other ways of designing universes. This particular one was designed as a free will zone in which all would be allowed. Prime Creator said to these extensions of itself, "Go out and create and bring all things back to me." This was quite a simple assignment, was it not? In other words, Prime Creator was saying, I am going to gift you of myself. You go out and gift of yourselves freely so that all you create in this universe can understand its essence as my identity. These extensions of Prime Creator, which we will call Creator Gods, went out and began to experiment with Prime Creator's energy as it existed within themselves. They began to create their own hierarchy, which in turn created other hierarchies. Each succeeding hierarchy created another hierarchy to endow it with its own essence and to assist in the development of this universe. Eventually, in one of the galactic systems, a plan came together to design Earth as an intergalactic exchange center of information. It was an incredible plan. Earth was a beautiful place, located on the fringes of one of the galactic systems and easily reached from other galaxies. It was close to many way portals, the highways that exist for energies to travel throughout space. There was much scurrying and shuffling to create individual representation from all of the galaxies here upon this planet. Some of the creator gods were master geneticists. They were able, through their hierarchies, to tie molecules together, encoded molecules of identity, frequency, and electrical charge, to create life. Many sentient civilizations gave of their DNA to have representation of their coding upon this planet. The master geneticists then designed various species, some human, some animal, by playing with the varieties of DNA that the sentient civilizations contributed to make Earth into this exchange center of information, this light center, this living library. The plan for Earth was a grand one. The original planners of Earth were members of the family of light, beings who worked for and were associated with an aspect of consciousness called light. Light is information. The family of light created the information center they had conceived of. They designed a place where galaxies would contribute their information and where all would be able to participate and share their specific knowledge. Earth was to be a cosmic library, a place of incredible beauty that experimented with how information could be stored through frequencies and through the genetic process. Outside the structure of time, 100,000 years can pass in what may be a year within the structure of time as you know it. These creator gods did not exist in time as you know it. A few 100,000 years or 1,000,000 years was nothing to them. Different energies were brought into existence. There were species of humans on Earth perhaps 500,000 years ago who developed very highly evolved civilizations. We are not speaking of the civilizations that you call Lemuria or Atlantis. To us, those civilizations are modern. We are talking about civilizations that are ancient, civilizations that are buried under some of the ice caps of the far southern continent of Antarctica. The project of the living library on Earth was eventually fought over. It looked enticing enough to be owned by some. During Earth's early history, there were wars in space for ownership of this planet. Have you ever wondered who owns Earth? It's a prime hunk of real estate. Do you think it would go ownerless in space? skirmishes took place, and Earth became a place of duality. Certain creator gods who had the right to do whatever they wanted, because Earth is a free will zone, came in and took over. We call this raiding the Earth. It was like corporate raiding on Wall Street. These creator gods raided Earth approximately 300,000 years ago, the time period, historically speaking, that you would call the beginning of human civilization. This is merely the time period that you, in this present day, are taught was the beginning of civilization. In actuality, it was only the beginning of the later phase, the phase of modern humanity. When this skirmish occurred, a certain group of entities fought in space and won the territory of Earth. These new owners did not want the native Earth species, the humans, to be informed of what took place. Uninformed, the species would be easier to control. This is why light is information and darkness is the lack of information. These entities beat out light, and Earth became their territory. It gives you a new idea of light, does it not? There was great radioactivity and nuclear action, and much of Earth was rent asunder. The original species, human creation, experienced great destruction and was scattered. These new creator gods, who were the new owners, were also master geneticists. They understood how to create life, and they wanted this territory for their own reasons. Territories are created and held by certain energies for many reasons, one of which is that there is consciousness within all things. Consciousness communicates continuously. Consciousness vibrates or can be led to vibrate at certain electromagnetic frequencies. Electromagnetic energies of consciousness can be influenced to vibrate in a certain way to create a source of food. Just as apples can be prepared and eaten in a variety of ways, consciousness can be prepared and ingested in a variety of ways. Some entities, in the process of their own evolution, began to discover that as they created life and put consciousness into things through modulating the frequencies of forms of consciousness, they could feed themselves. They could keep themselves in charge. They began to figure out that this is how Prime Creator nourished itself. Prime Creator sends out others to create an electromagnetic frequency of consciousness as a food source for itself. The new owners of this planet had a different appetite and different preferences than the former owners. They nourished themselves with chaos and fear. These things fed them, stimulated them, and kept them in power. These new owners, who came here 300,000 years ago, are the magnificent beings spoken of in your Bible, in the Babylonian and Sumerian tablets, and in texts all over the world. They came to Earth and rearranged the native human species. They rearranged your DNA in order to have you broadcast within a certain limited frequency band whose frequency could feed them and keep them in power. The original human was a magnificent being whose 12 strands of DNA were contributed by a variety of sentient civilizations. When the new owners came in, they worked in their laboratories and created versions of humans with a different DNA, the two-stranded double helix DNA. They took the original DNA of the human species and disassembled it. The original DNA pattern was left within the human cells, yet it was not functional. It was split apart, unplugged. Within human cells are light-encoded filaments, fine gossamer threads of energy that carry information. When these gossamer threads are working together like a cable, the way fiber optics works, they form the helix of your DNA. When you were rearranged, you were left with a double helix. Anything that was unnecessary for survival and that would keep you informed was unplugged, leaving you with only a double helix that would lock you into controllable, operable frequencies. A frequency fence, something like an electrical fence, was put around the planet to control how much the frequencies of humans could be modulated and changed. As the story goes, this frequency fence made it very difficult for the frequencies of light, information to penetrate. When light frequencies were able to penetrate the control fence, there was no light to receive them. The human's DNA was unplugged. The light-encoded filaments were no longer organized, so the creative cosmic rays that brought light did not have anything to plug into and hold on to. What part do you play in this story? You are members of the family of light. The mere fact that you are hearing this audiobook shows that you are family of light. For some of you, this is just like a dream. We are reminding you of what you know inside yourselves. We have come onto this planet to trigger your memory banks, to inspire the human race through the band of light so that you will begin to remember who you are, to create your own reality, and to alter the frequency on the planet and claim rightful ownership of yourselves and this territory. We, as Pleiadians, come back through time into what would perhaps be called our past, in the vestige of representatives of light. We come back in order to share a frequency with you, a frequency that each one of you has agreed to carry on this planet in order to change the DNA of the rearranged human race. This is a big story. It could make headlines, you know. The original planners are not about to lose the territory. Do you think they are going to give up so easily? The original planners began to call on the family of light to go in and infiltrate the project, to incarnate one by one and bring the light as information via creative cosmic rays into the place where it was lost. The family of light began its work here, coming into a system that was devoid of light and devoid of information. By mutating the laws of humanity, these creative cosmic rays began to pierce people's bodies, individual by individual, then group by group. In very small amounts throughout the eons were these frequencies of information brought onto this planet. At times, great battles were fought to keep out the light or information that was always looking to be expressed. The original planners knew that, cosmically speaking, this was a lesson for them in allowing, in understanding the creator gods who took their project. The original planners set out to insert their own version of a plan to coincide with a time when the frequency of Earth would be altered, a time when the owners would perish if they could not change their own frequency. Emotions are a source of food. There are those whose food source is love, and the original planners intend to alter the frequency of Earth to that of love. The current owner's food source of fear, anxiety, chaos, hunger, and despondency must be removed. Guess who is removing this food source? You are. As members of the family of light, you are renegades. You are systems busters, here to conquer your own fears and to show the rest of the planet that there is no reason to fear anything. You love to go in and cause trouble. You are famous, your branch of the family of light. You are famous for going into systems of reality and altering the frequency, thus bringing information. It is not your task as members of the family of light to proselytize. You simply go into systems and act as receptacles. You simply go into systems and act as receptacles. You receive the creative cosmic rays into your bodies, the bodies that you occupy as humans. You are in disguise as humans, and you allow a process to take place. You are coded. And as your memory begins to rise, you will respond to the plan with which you came here to participate to alter the frequencies. You will begin to hold, keep, and maintain a certain frequency and then to live it. Identity as frequency is the sum total of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies broadcast as electronic pulsations. As you live your frequency, you affect everyone, every place you go. That is what you are doing now. There are many who already understand their assignment, and there are those whose memories are just beginning to rise. The plan to change the frequency modulation affecting the human species entails the rebundling of your DNA and of the light-encoded filaments. The plan is gigantic at this time. Earth is assisting, in its own way, the evolution of the universe. Earth is where things are happening. It is the hot spot, the place to be. It is where the plan begins to blossom, and what happens on Earth is going to affect many, many worlds. As members of the family of light, you agreed to come to Earth many times, in many guises and in many different time frames, to learn the ropes, to figure out the character, and to become trained. You needed to experience Earth and to prepare yourself for the time when the frequency alteration would begin to occur, and you would all incarnate in large numbers to bring the plan into action. The family of light everywhere is beginning to unite. You must all focus on what you have in common, not what you do not have in common. As members of the family of light, you bring information to the planet neutrally to stimulate your own growth. You need to do this, for your own growth affects the growth of the planet. Your DNA will evolve from 2 helixes to 12 helixes. These 12 helixes correspond to energy centers or chakras inside and outside of your body. Millions of you on the planet at this time are on assignment, and you have agreed to carry the frequency to accomplish this. Handfuls of you are becoming impeccable, and these handfuls are affecting the others. Soon you will begin to have great clarity as to who you are and what your assignment is. This process is an incredible evolutionary leap for one to be involved in, and it is going to take place on an accelerated path for the next 20 years. There are those who have already received a realignment of the 12 strands of DNA, the 12 helixes. These 12 spiral strands of DNA interact with one another in the body and outside of the body. The connection of the 12 strands means that the 12 energy or information centers can begin to function and send information back and forth to one another. Traditionally, 7 of these centers are located in the body, and 5 are located outside of the body. They are commonly known as your chakra centers and are aligned with the spinning of the 12 heavenly bodies that you know of at this time within your solar system, the 12 heavenly bodies that are vibrating as you recognize them in 3D. These 12 heavenly bodies are spinning with information. They spin with the chakra systems that go out to the end of the universe, and they spin with the DNA spinning inside your body. When human DNA begins to rebundle as a 12-stranded helix system and this information is acted upon, there will be incredible power. Individuals, simply by coming together and jointly intending what they want, jointly becoming a telepathic receptacle for energies from all over the cosmos, will change the face of the universe. We call the rebundling process of your DNA a mutation. Once you, as members of the family of light, are able to take this mutation into your bodies, you will be able to integrate your 12 centers of information. You will begin to understand that you create your experiences, and you will learn to become conscious creators. More than that, you will become conscious rememberers of who you are. As your 10th, 11th, and 12th chakras begin to open themselves, many off-planet energies will appear in your lives. These energies will occur on this planet as more and more of you hold the higher frequencies. The 10th chakra connects with the solar system, the 11th with the galaxy, and the 12th with a place in the universe. As you hold these frequencies, you will bring information onto the planet that will astound and shock most of the world. There will be a merging of identities, a merging of cultures, an infusion of many new world orders, and there will be much chaos and confusion. As members of the family of light, you can simply observe this, knowing that chaos and confusion must come to break down the system so that it can be rebuilt with light. As members of the family of light, you can understand that there is an evolutionary process taking place and that those who can handle the changing frequencies by all means will evolve. Earth is an exciting place to be at this time. It is a good plan, is it not? We hope you have enjoyed this production of Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians by Barbara Marciniak, read by Matthew Duplessie, executive producer Mahar Asher Sperling. This audiobook was produced by Inner Traditions Audio, exclusively for Simon & Schuster Audio. For more books like the one you just listened to, visit innertraditions.com. Text copyright 1992 by Barbara J. Marciniak. Production copyright 2026, Inner Traditions Audio. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening.